Good evening, folks, and welcome to an AlQ weather update at 7:23 on Thursday night, February the 18th. All right, so we're looking at the power outage map of the United States, still down in Texas, Louisiana, and the state that has four eyes and can't see, Mississippi. All right, still having some pretty widespread power outages still up in Oregon, which got hit hard over the weekend by two storms, as Ralphie told me about, my man Ralphie. All right. Texas is just a disaster right now, folks. Water main valves cracked, no running water, power supply issues. It's just a terrible, terrible situation. People sleeping in their cars, no electricity, no heat. It snowed down into Galveston and Houston. First time in over 100 years that happened. Um, Louisiana, terrible ice storm. Northern Mississippi, big snowstorm, terrible ice storm. Kentucky had bad ice and snow, as did Northern Virginia and into West Virginia as well. All right, so let's take a look at why we didn't get as much snow as we could have today. Because the data is coming back from weather balloons launched this evening, and there was a layer, almost 6,000 feet. That's a mile and a quarter in the sky. That was 34 degrees. That's why we saw sleet even into northern New Jersey. There was also drier air higher up that prevented snow from growing, which then decreased the saturation of the snow. So we were looking at bands, and I put out in an update that these bands coming through were going to be 1 to 3 inches per hour. 1.5 inches per hour. They did not get up to that 3 inch because of this drier air. All right. So that's what we have that happened. Now we're going to have light snow support tomorrow as well. So let's take a look. Here is the NAM. Here we are running through tomorrow. There's tomorrow morning, tomorrow afternoon, and it's snowing light, little moderate. And it doesn't get out of here, folks, by what the NAM says with this next couple waves. There goes one low pressure. Here comes another low pressure. It says it doesn't get out of here until about 8, 9 o'clock tomorrow night. We'll see if that holds true. All right. Here's the GFS, what it's calling for here. Pretty impressive. All right. National Weather Service says 2 to 3 inches up in this range. Looks like a good call. Up here, 4 to 5 inches. Wow, that'd be very interesting if that did occur. All right, we'll go to that later. RGM says same type of thing. A little Barney going on up here. 3, 4, 5 inches. And on Monday, we got a storm cutting up to the west. We could get a little snow in here possibly Monday. All right, sorry, N class. Not going to be a bad storm. Could be a little dusting, or just some mood flakes. Then we may turn over to rain. What do we have in the long run here? Mr. Judah Cohen, very, very good long range forecast says March is going to come in like a lion and out like a lamb. That's what the GFS is predicting, as more blocking comes overhead. All right, which force some of that colder temperature down. Okay, so that's going to be interesting to see if that does hold true. Let's take a look at his maps here. All right, that's showing, the first week of March. The GFS is showing that the GFS is showing 11 to 15. It's going to be colder going on through. Look at how cold all of Europe and Asia is. Wow, except when you get down here to the southern part. Even northern Africa, to Spain, pretty cold. Okay. All right. So just giving you some maps here to take a look at. All right. Here's the anomaly from the 19th to the 23rd. So we'll see how this all plays out. All right. So from David Dilley, Earth is transitioning to a long-term global cooling cycle. He's a professor He was a meteorologist, still is a meteorologist, I should say still has his degree, owns this global weather oscillations company, climatologist, paleoclimatologist. He's been studying this for over 40 years. Some people don't agree with this, but it's just something to think about because it makes really good sense. And there are other people that are talking about the same cyclical aspects to our planet. He says for about a decade, especially during the past 5 years, the media has been extorting the truth by blaming most weather on events on human-induced climate change. Every flood, strong hurricane, tornado, high tide, and even cold temperatures have all been blamed on human-induced global warming as the cause. Fact is, weather events are cyclical. We have had many floods and hurricanes, and we will all the time. And their severity occurs in cycles. Back in 2019, Venice, Spain had 2/3 of their city streets underwater. And of course, it was blamed on global warming. Fact is, a powerful storm occurring in conjunction with a cyclical, strong full moon caused a flooding, just like what happened with Sandy on the East Coast. We had a strong lunar tide that caused the ocean to be about 1.5 to 2 feet above its normal tide, which exacerbated the flooding. Okay, the storm was very strong, do not get me wrong, but that's what helped exacerbate some of the flooding. All right, a similar flood in 1966 that occurred during a strong lunar event in Venice, Spain. And it was in a cold weather period in our history. So he says, look in your history books and learn. All right. Then he goes into early cold snap last year. I wrote about that. Crop losses. Yes, we're still having them. Much of Europe experienced one of the worst winters in 25 to 60 years. All right. And it's not really going to get any better. Okay, is what he's talking about here. All right. And now during winter of 2021, people are shocked as record-breaking cold Arctic vortex gripped the United States in mid-February. It was the coldest Arctic blast in over 30 years. And some snowfall totals broke records not seen since the late 1800s. And it's not a fluke. Parts of Europe, Asia, and other regions around the world have experienced similar weather. Saudi Arabia has had hailstorms which have coated the ground up to a few inches, and they had just a massive snowstorm, as well as in Lebanon and in Jerusalem as well. Very interesting. All right. So it's based upon the cycles. The Earth has had 6 global warming cycles during the past 1,200 years. They are all cyclical and recur like clockwork, approximately every 230 years. The last one, they last about 75 to 85 years. The warm cycles will then follow by long-term dangerous global cooling cycles. The current global warming cycle is on its 85th year and beginning to gasp for breath. It is now transitioning to the next 85-year very dangerous global cooling cycle with a question mark. So for you to do some research on, take a look at, do your homework, and see if this is the case, and it seems to be the case. So what do we have for tomorrow? Snow is still going on. It will snow through the night, light to possibly moderate as we wake up in the morning, and we should see about 2 to 3 to maybe 4 inches in the lower Hudson Valley of snow by tomorrow afternoon. All right, be safe, be well, and thanks for listening.